Poland Daily Business. My name is Aleksander Wierzejski. The Polish budget projection for the 2020 was 430-ish billion of Polish zlotys. That's about 100 of billion euro, and zero deficit. But right now, after the pandemic, after the losses during the first and second quarter, our budget deficit projected will reach almost over 100 billion Polish zlotys. That's about 25 billion euros. Piotr Arak of Polish Economic Institute is our guest tonight. So welcome to the show. That's about 25% of budget deficit, unheard of number in terms of European Union budgets.
I wouldn't say so, because probably France, Italy, and Spain are going to have higher deficit rates in 2020. The French government actually made 4 amendments to the budget this year, so they prepared 4 new budgets as today. So through almost 9 months, they created 4 budgets with different deficit numbers, each time increasing it. And probably they're going to end up with a deficit rate of above 14% GDP, while Poland is still probably going to have a deficit rate of approximately 11 to 12% GDP for the whole general government sector, which means also the social security institution, self-governments, and all those institutions which are not in the central government budgets. And this is, I wouldn't say that this is history. In nominal terms, probably the number is historic, but the value of money changes. So this budget of the central government is just going to be approximately 5% of GDP. Which is high, but it's probably going to be higher than the budget, the deficit we had in 2009, and then it was approximately 8% of GDP that we had during that crisis 12 years ago. But still, where does the deficit come from? So it doesn't come from the government spending money on unusable things, but it comes from the fiscal stimuli that we had to introduce in order to save businesses during the lockdown in the second quarter of 2020. All governments in the European Union did that. And our fiscal package was probably bigger in comparison to the size of our economy. It was just slightly below 13% of GDP for 2000, going directly to employers and also to self-employed people and to employees. And I would say that if we wouldn't have this stimuli package, we would probably talk right now not about the deficit rate, but about the unemployment numbers, and probably all those people going into poverty, as they are in Argentina, Spain, and Italy. In Italy, they also speak about the novi poveri. So those people which are going into poverty for the first time in their life, young people entering the labor market, once again in a situation when they cannot find jobs, and also when the economy and the state of the budget of the country is in disarray. And it also means that they're going to be probably once again without developmental chances in their own country. So we're not in this situation as Poland. We're in a much better one, going down from a high deficit or a higher budget debt is easy in comparison to going through the problems of long-term unemployment and poverty, as we remember from the 90s.
obviously. Do you expect the inflation rate going up due to this amount of money that didn't come from the normal circulation of economy but were borrowed internally or abroad?
Yeah, many economists actually were expecting that this outcome. So to have a spike in inflation through 2020, because we had quantitative easing. So a lot of central banks were printing money, not actually printing, but let's say printing money to the economy and allowing the governments to act and increasing the number of money in circulation through the banking sector. This would, of course, mean that the inflation rate should go up, like in typical economic situations. It did not, however. So because of the scope of the crisis, that people were scared to buy things, actually there were anti-inflammatory measures in our behavior, which made us buy less things, although we had more money. And this also increased the savings rates, actually, of many households throughout Europe. So it didn't increase the inflation, but it increased the savings rate, which in terms is a good thing because we have some money saved for the probable next wave of the crisis, or when the situation is better, we can spend it on something bigger, or buy a new car, or buy an electric car, buy a Polish electric car, or something else. But I don't see a high probability of the inflation going out of control in 2020. Actually, the American Fed is now going to be concerned more about the employment than it is about the inflation rate, what was communicated last week, which I find interesting as the role of the central bank shifts. In comparison, the European central banks are only concerned about the inflation. They are not that much concerned about the unemployment and employment rates, which is like a shift in what the central bank has to do and wishes to do. And I think it's going to be just very interesting for those people who watch monetary policy from very up close. And probably 2020 was like a year closing one economic epoch and opening another one, in terms of what's the role of the state, what's the role of the central bank. And I guess this is a very much unknown situation for everybody.
We are all in uncharted waters, and thanks to Poland Daily Business, we can find some guidance, which was provided today by Piotr Arak of Polish Economic Institute. Sir, thank you very much for participating in this show. And that was it for today, but please watch us tomorrow, same time, when Poland Daily Business returns.